The year was 1999, and the small town was just settling in for another quiet evening when the news broke. 66-year-old Ms. Mia had been found lifeless in her home. The circumstances were strange. No forced entry, no signs of struggle, no stolen items. The only thing unusual, the whispers among the neighbors. Only the one who asked for her directions knows the truth. The police launched an investigation, questioning everyone in the neighborhood. Who had been the last to see Mia alive? Who had a reason to harm her? The case quickly grew cold. No fingerprints, no witnesses, no answers. Life moved on, but for some, the weight of the unsolved crime never faded. John Carter, a man with a troubled past, sat in a prison cell serving time for multiple offenses. He was a man no stranger to violence, but one crime had remained buried deep inside him. One evening, during a casual conversation with other inmates, the topic of unsolved cases came up. Something inside John snapped. He leaned forward, his voice cold, and said, "I know what happened to Ms. Mia." For years he had convinced himself it was just a mistake, a moment of weakness. But in reality it was a crime that had been waiting for justice. John's life had never been easy. He had grown up in hardship, struggling to find his place. By the time he was in his 40s, he was estranged from his only son, Daniel. Then tragedy struck. Daniel died suddenly, and rumors spread that someone in the neighborhood was responsible. John was drowning in anger and grief, but one person made it worse. Ms. Mia. Unlike the others who whispered behind his back, she said it directly to his face. "You are responsible for your son's death." Every time he saw her, it was the same accusation. The words cut deep, tearing at the wound that refused to heal. One night, John reached his breaking point. At home, frustrated and consumed by his thoughts, he opened an old wooden chest. Inside was a rusty, broken piece of an iron pot lid. It felt heavy in his hands, too heavy. Something about it felt symbolic. Something about it felt final. Without thinking, he grabbed it and walked toward Miss Mia's house. That night, Mia opened her door to see John standing outside. "What do you want?" she asked. For a moment, he hesitated. Then she said it again. "You are responsible for your son's death." That was the last time she ever spoke. In a moment of uncontrollable rage, John raised the iron lid and struck her once. She fell silently, like a tree collapsing in the wind. John stood there, heart pounding, staring at what he had done. It didn't feel like revenge. It didn't feel like justice. It just felt empty. Panic took over. He dropped the iron piece and ran, disappearing into the shadows, leaving no fingerprints, no witnesses, no answers. And for 23 years, the truth remained hidden. John continued down the path of crime and destruction. But in 2021, fate caught up with him. During a prison fight, he was thrown down a flight of metal stairs, landing hard on his back. The doctors confirmed his worst fear, a severe spinal cord injury. John was now paralyzed from the waist down. Justice had found its own way. Now, trapped in a wheelchair for life, John finally admitted the truth. "I thought I was silencing Mia, but in reality I silenced myself." Final message for viewers. Crime is never the answer. Whether it takes days, years, or decades, justice always finds a way. Stay away from crime and criminals, because in the end, every action has consequences.